Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Learning Torah Lishma. Someone asked me, who was my best rabbi? All right, good question, right? So I told him the Gemara. And then I said, the Gemara and the Rishonim. And I explained why. I said, when the sages of the Talmud say something, when the Gemara says something, when the Rishonim say something, they are so holy. They are on such a level that they understand the truth to such a degree that I don't have to worry about them making a mistake. If they said it, I could trust them, I could do it, and everything will be good. And that's why I prefer learning Gemara, learning Rishonim, everything from the Rishonim and before. That's what I prefer. Yes, today, because of different things, you have to know halacha l'maisa, you'll need achronim, this and that, but outside of that, I just like learning the Rishonim because I know I'm getting the real truth. So that was one question. Now, then there was another question someone asked me, same person, but also a good question. They said, how did Kishuv stop? How did magic stop? Black magic. How did that all, used to be that there was big mechashvim, big, just like there's like Harvard and Yale of today, with all their crazy ideologies, killing kids, cutting pieces off of them. You understand? All their crazy, trying to elevate people that blow themselves up and kill people. I mean, this type of radical ideology, they was used to blow up the Twin Towers, and people are dying over 1,000. I think it was 1,000, 10,000, whatever. I think let's just be, I know it was for sure 1,000 of U.S. Army men were killed by these type of terror groups, and they just want to glass over that and just, blame anybody else, especially Israel, if they do anything to them. Such nonsense. You understand? But even though it's such nonsense, everybody's running after them to get into the schools, everybody's giving them money. It's crazy, it doesn't make any sense, but that's what's happening. So in the olden days, there was something similar to this. I mean, the same exact thing, but just in a different area. Kishuv, magic. In the olden days, black magic, you understand? Using demons to do things, using spirits and all these things, trying to control angels, all these things, getting in, the biggest, to really get the ability of Kishuv, of black magic, you had to sell your soul to the devil. That's how it worked, you understand? That when you die, you go to Gehenna. That's, you go to the place. The devil, I understand, people think that the devil has his own place. It's not true. It's Gehenna. That's where it goes, and that's all controlled by God. But that's where He wants to send you. You understand? He doesn't control you, and God doesn't. That's incorrect. So this is like all this. This nonsense. The Kishuv used to be, right? Used to have the Harvard, and just like the Harvard of the Yale today, you'd have the Harvard of the Yale of old was teaching people Kishuv, selling their soul to the devil, right? Which means going to Gehenna, right? Remember, everything's controlled. The devil doesn't have his own world and God his own. Everything is God's world, and the devil is an agent, is an angel that his job is to test people and to try to get them to go to hell. That's his job. You understand? So. That's what it means, being, selling your soul to the devil means going in his ways and being sent because of what you did to hell. That's what it means. Okay, so, let's just say a person did, God forbid, Hopefully no one does that. Unfortunately, a lot of people did it, and people doing it now. I think it's become the trend, I'm a satanic... That's my God. So I don't know. There's weird things, weird stuff. God's in control of everything. It's not the Satan is not outside of God. It's God sent him to test people, and his job is to try to get you to fail. You understand? But he's not allowed to give you a test that you can't overcome. You understand? And he can't just test you all the time. There's a method that's used. I'm not a Kabbalist. I can't tell you the whole process, but things, there's the point is to overcome the test and now go higher up in heaven, or get into heaven at all. Because if you didn't do anything, how are you going to get into heaven? You understand? So, so that's that's that. Now, so the question that was asked me is, today we don't really see magic. Now there in the Talmud it talks about as the koichas when the koichas kedusha, when the holy powers, the powers of light, become weaker, automatically the powers of darkness become weaker. And the reason for that is that the powers of darkness, they take power from light. What does that mean? When a person, when a person does good things but has bad intentions, but they're doing physically a good act, but they're doing it because of a bad intention. For instance, we have in the Bible that Og Melech HaBashan, the big giant Og, he comes to Avram Avinu and he says, that he says that he says Lot is Lot, your brother-in-law has been captured. Not your brother-in-law, yeah, so whatever, nephew. Sorry, the nephew has been captured. It might have been both. Whatever. We'll get to the second, but a different time. So it's captured. What was his idea? That Abraham should go and try to save Lot, and of course he'll be killed. There's there's 4 kings coming against him, and then he'll take his wife. That was Og's intention. So when a person does, right? I'm just explaining on a very simple level. When a person on the superficial level does a good action, but his intention is to do something bad, he really wanted Abraham to die and then take Sarah as his wife, those type of deeds is the klipas, the black magic side, the dark side is allowed to, that's where they get energized from. So as the spiritual side dwanes in its power and ability, so too does the evil side. Now, so the question was, how come today we don't really see Kishuf? Yeah, you can go to some, third world countries where they still practice Kishuf. It's practically very weak. It's not very powerful like it used to be. So they asked me, how did it all stop? So we just explained spiritually how that happened. But I also want to explain physically how, because we see that today people aren't, trying to learn. It's not like the in thing to do. You understand? Like it used to be, right? It used to be Mitzrayim. You had Egypt, you had the Harvard, Yale, and that's where people used to go and learn. And now that's not really what's happening. There's always like little places, but I'm talking about in general. And the answer to that is because in the Bible, in the Chumash, it says there that Kishuf is bad, and a Jew is not allowed to practice Kishuf. So many Gentiles said, you know what? If the Holy Bible says that this is not a good thing, then we're not going to do it, and that created the movement of not doing it. We have to remember. The Jews, before, used to, in the olden days, you have Solomon the Great, the wise, Solomon the wise, and he was, he was a ruler of a country. the ruler of Yerushalayim, of Yehuda, of Israel. And according to the Bible, you're not allowed to do kishuf in. You're not allowed to do kishuf. And Solomon kept the Torah just like his father David did. You understand? Just like David HaMelech did. And therefore, the practice of magic was outlawed, and anybody that did it, was either thrown out of the country or killed. It was utterly not allowed, and that other nations saw that, and that this all created. And Solomon was the wise, This created this idea that kishuf is black, doing magic. You understand, is not proper, and practically speaking, people really only the magic, people the black magic is really what people, is really the magic that people could do is really just black magic. To do what we would call, Kabbalah, which is the holy type of magic. That's not something that people are able to do, because it's something that has many conditions, and if you're missing one of them, then it's considered black magic. You understand? So it's and people also just don't. It's black magic is much easier to do. You sell your soul to the devil. You do different things. I'm not gonna encourage people. I'm not gonna tell people what to do. You understand? But that's very easy to become black magic. Even today, in the limited ability of black magic, you could still do it. But the other, Kabbalah in the holy sense, this is something that is it's basically not attainable for almost everybody. You understand? So it has to be done with. You have to be extremely holy. It has to be done with extreme holiness. It's so many things. You understand that? It's just practically we don't use it. Even people that know it and are very holy don't use it. They learn it because it's a part of the Torah. You understand? It's part of the oral Torah that was passed down from Moses all the way through all the generations, but it's really not used today because we're afraid that you could do the action, but if there's something wrong of the 100 things that you need to do, then then that magic goes to the dark side. You understand? So we don't use it. Rather, we just pray to God and we ask Him to please help us, and that's how we create change, by just praying to God. We don't use magic at all. Certainly not the evil type, and not even the good type. The holy type. So, the question is how we see today that black magic is, it's not really, that's not really what's being advertised. Bitcoin, is, Dave Ramsey, I don't know, what's his name, Grant Cardone, this other guy, what's his name? I don't remember all the names. That's what's being advertised, you understand? PBD is, he has his advertisements, you understand? Well, I don't know, all these people, they have theirs, you understand? Ben Shapiro, he has his 3 rules, and that's it. You don't really have to. You just do these 3 things, and if you're able to be someone that's very successful, then you'll make it. If not, that's it. You think God is going to take away your ability to succeed? No, there are rare scenarios. You understand? But it's nothing for you to think about. And not only that, even if a person does find himself in that rare scenario, prayer could remove everything. You understand? So pray. That's it. Pray to God. That's it. Don't worry about something that's basically so weird that it doesn't exist. Don't worry about those things. Just pray to God. Do your best. So someone's asking me how Christianity black magic today, how come, what happened? So from what my understanding is, because of the Bible, because of Mount Sinai, the Bible, Solomon the Wise, and then the Jews being scattered through all the countries, and the Jews not touching magic. This is something that they don't do, you understand? And the other nations saw that, and they saw how it was safe, You went into other places, like today, you go into certain neighborhoods, you get robbed, you get attacked, so that happened in the olden times. But also, you could have someone do kishuf on you. Your legs, God forbid, could shrivel up. You understand? So, but when you went to the Jewish quarter, like today, you don't really. It's safe, relatively, it's safe, even no Jews attacking you, and even non-Jews seem to be act better, they in the Jewish areas, and and in the olden days that there was no kishuf, no Jews did kishuf, so you wouldn't have to worry about someone doing magic on you, and then unless you paid the money, they wouldn't remove it, or they just like to do it, and they're like practicing on people, like a lot of doctors today. I don't know, if you sign your organs, then all of a sudden you're not safe in any in any hospital, because if they kill you, they get you. You're more profitable to them dead than alive. Crazy stuff going on today. So building out, there was Sinai, giving of the Torah, then there was Solomon the Wise, Jews spread out in all the nations because of the exile, and people seeing that and seeing that this is a better way to live. And then you have Christianity, who's even though it's false, but people are following it, they think it's real, you understand, and they say we need to keep the Bible. They limit. They say we don't have to keep this. We won't have to keep that. Once you say that, like, everybody just picks and chooses, and you don't really know what is, what isn't. But it seemed that one thing was clear to them: the Bible talks bad about magic, and they, this is even before Muslim, because Christianity exists before Muslims, Muhammad existed, you understand? So you have this religion that's, they take certain aspects, and one of the things that they took, not all their groups, but the groups that outlived the others and became the powerful ones, were against magic, and all this culminated in they would literally just throw people in the river, with a weight, and tie them to something, throw them in. I don't know, crazy stuff. So if you're gonna kill someone, don't torture them like that. Just kill them. You understand? So because of that, we see that kishuf is looked at today as something bad. As something you shouldn't do. No one thinks about it. You understand? Really, hardly anybody knows it. So that's how that happened. Interesting questions, people ask. Sometimes people really ask good questions. So that's the history. That's what happened. And I love you, and Hashem loves you more.